I love Unacceptable Fringe. He's the best. No one does YouTube better than Unacceptable Fringe.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. We've talked a lot about 51st State. We've talked about Donald Trump. We've talked about Pierre, the border, all the Team Canada nonsense. Today, I want to shed a little bit of light as to what is happening and why Donald Trump is coming after Canada and talking about 51st State. A lot of people are saying it's because of our resources, our minerals. Some people are saying it's because of the border, which I've said before, this isn't about a border. This is about bigger things. I've often referenced other points as to why, and we're going to clarify those today, because a lot of people sending my way an article recently, an interview done with Toronto's Brian Lilley, talking to American Steve Bannon about what's happening with Trump, what his goals are, and I want to shine in on those today. So just to give a little bit of clarity as to why what's happening is happening. Now, it's important to keep in mind that with Donald Trump, everything's a negotiation. I've always told in business school, you don't get what you deserve in life, you get what you negotiate. The truth is being said here and what's happening behind the scenes and what the real goal is throughout this push between Mexico, Canada, Greenland, etc. When you look at Pierre Poilievre, he's now coming under attack that despite the fact that Pierre has said he's going to go dollar for dollar on tariffs with Trump. A lot of people disagreed with that statement. I am one of them. He's also talked about securing the Arctic. Now, again, this poses part of what we're going to discuss today and why Pierre wants to talk about icebreakers, why he wants to talk about military bases up in the Arctic. But now he's being criticized for it. We can see that Crystia Freeland, with her flop of a campaign for the leadership race. In fact, I haven't heard much from Freeland since she started running for this campaign. A lot of people saying that essentially she's running to concede to Mark Carney, to possibly give votes over to Mark Carney. I don't doubt it. Again, with her connection through godchildren, through Mark Carney, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me. Same with Karina Gould. It's all designed. It's all designed to install Mark Carney. But she puts here, Pierre Poilievre is ready to sell out Canada to Trump. Join the fight, donate today to Crystia Freeland, like she's got any kind of pull. Of course, her saying we can't afford his weakness. There's more to this than weakness. I want to get into this article, because this explains a little bit further what was discussed with Brian Lilley and Steve Bannon on why Donald Trump wants Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal. This all ties into business. It's all into deals. It's all into Donald Trump's agenda to make America great again. So we talk a little bit about what's going on. So we're going to start with Greenland and the Arctic. Before returning to the Oval Office, Trump told reporters that Greenland it's a wonderful place. We need it for international security. There's the old Trump popping in. Greenland, the world's largest island, has been an autonomous territory on Denmark since 1979. Earlier this month, Trump stressed that Greenland should become part of the United States to ensure national security and protect against potential threats from China and Russia. Again, sounds a little familiar as to what he's talking about with the 51st state. Strategically, Greenland offers the shortest route from North America to Europe, making it a critical location for military and ballistic missile early warning systems. The U.S. already operates in Thule Air Base on the island, but Trump has expressed interest in expanding his military presence, including by placing radars in the waters connecting to Greenland, Iceland, and the United Kingdom. The island is also rich in natural resources, again, a positive, including rare earth minerals such as high-tech industries, or for high-tech industries. So again, when we talk about what's necessary for companies like Tesla to mine for their batteries, there's a lot of minerals over there that are necessary for that. A 2023 survey found that 25 of 34 minerals deemed critical raw materials by the European Commission are present in Greenland. Despite its economic potential, Greenland's indigenous population has largely opposed large-scale mining, leaving the territory reliant on its fishing industry. Trump's interest in Greenland is not new. During his first term, he floated the idea of purchasing the island, which was met with laughter and disbelief in Washington. Again, much like when he talked about Governor Trudeau in Canada. Denmark, a close U.S. ally, firmly rejected the proposal, leading Trump to cancel a planned visit to Copenhagen. So now we get into what he's talking about with Canada. Trump has also promoted the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state, claiming that many Canadians support his proposal, which we're seeing an ongoing growing rhetoric of that. He has argued that the move would bring economic stability to Canada, which it would, and shield it from perceived external threats, including Russian and Chinese ships. Again, it's all tying together, folks. While some view this as a joke, others see it as part of Trump's broader strategy to assert U.S. dominance in North America. Most people talk again about globalism. They say that Trump is part of the whole globalist elite group of people that want to take over the world. This is where I'm trying to qualm those flames a little and try and give a little bit of insight that this is all about business. Donald Trump has always said it himself in The Art of the Deal and in the opening of his world-famous show, The Apprentice. There's nothing personal. It's just business. Canada, however, has shown no interest in becoming part of the United States. Governor Justin Trudeau has repeatedly emphasized Canada's sovereignty and independence, making Trump's proposal a non-starter. Again, a lot of pushback from Canadians. Again, when we look at everything that's happening in the country, a lot of people talking 51st state. It ties down to the Panama Canal, though, because this is where it all comes together. Trump's criticism of the Panama Canal has also drawn attention. He's argued that the 1999 transfer of control to Panama was intended as a gesture of cooperation, not a concession, and has criticized the high tariffs for canal transit. The canal is a vital artery for global trade and accounts for an estimated 2.5% of global sea trade and over 40% of all U.S. container traffic. So think about that. Anything coming from overseas, half of what comes from overseas, going to the United States roughly, goes through the Panama Canal. And that costs Americans. Trump has accused Panama of mismanaging the canal, allowing China to gain influence over its operations. Should we do this in the Donald? Maybe we do it in the Donald. We've been treated very badly of this foolish gift that should have never been made, Trump said during a recent address. Above all, China's operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama. We're taking it back. Panama, however, has firmly rejected Trump's claims. President Jose Raul Molino stated that every square meter of the Panama Canal and the surrounding area belongs to Panama and will continue belonging to Panama. Now, this gets into what's dubbed as the madman theory and why Donald Trump is doing all of this. Again, it's very clear. And if you take the time to listen to this, it really puts a spotlight on what is going on in our country right now and what's going on with all these countries. Roseanne McManus, a professor of political science at Pennsylvania State University, offers insights into Trump's rhetoric, drawing parallels to what was been described as the madman theory. This involves a psychological tactic to frighten adversaries by creating the perception that one is unpredictable and willing to take extreme actions. Again, I've seen this in business before. Trump's strategy is likely similar, said McManus. He wants to appear unpredictable enough that countries like Panama cannot rule out the possibility that he would use military force. Through intimidation, he may be able to secure concessions at a low cost. Again, buy low, sell high, right? Profits are up, costs are down. The term madman strategy was popularized by former U.S. President Richard Nixon during the Vietnam War. Nixon hoped to convince North Vietnam he was irrational enough to use nuclear weapons, thereby forcing them into making concessions. The madman strategy is the idea that you can intimidate opponents by pretending to be a little mad. And again, if you look at what he's talked about with what people say is the trolling of Governor Trudeau, and when you look at his constant push, Canada wants to become a 51st state. I think Canada should become the 51st state. He talks about Greenland. He talks about Mexico. It's all part of this plan. It all fits together. And I'm not saying it's a bad plan. Former U.S. President Nixon, who gave the strategy its name, wanted to make the North Vietnamese believe he was crazy enough to use nuclear weapons, it says. McManus suggests that Trump's unpredictability in making extreme comments might serve a similar purpose, intimidating countries into making favorable deals for the United States. Again, it's all about the deal. However, she cautions that this strategy can also create distrust of the United States. And again, that's already unfolding in Canada when you see the lefties in cities like Toronto and Ottawa booing the American national anthem, or Vancouver, areas that support the Liberal or NDP parties. And not because they're bad people there, but those tend to be their demographics. They're booing the American national anthem. You're starting to see this Canada versus US debacle going on. And I've said many times over that us normal Canadians certainly don't represent those who are booing the American national anthem. In fact, I'm ashamed of it. I'm almost glad Team Canada lost that game. So it says, what are Trump's goals? Senior analyst for International Crisis Group's U.S. program, Trump's desire to take control of Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal all appear related to competition with China, whether for control of the Arctic or trade routes. Again, this goes to why Pierre wants to put bases in the Arctic. He's looking at the same thing. So when people say, well, he wants to go toe-to-toe with Trump, it's kind of a 50-50 split, you know? Like, again, I've said that words were important during his rally this weekend. I think that if he really wanted to make a plea for what's going on, he should have come out and said, I'm willing to work and hopefully negotiate with President Trump, find a deal that suits everybody. However, if he doesn't want to come to the table with something reasonable, we will have to exercise the options of possible dollar-to-dollar tariffs and discounting products that we don't need. That's how you take that scale forward, is by saying, I'm willing to work, but if they don't want to, we got to play hardball. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it would help Pierre's numbers far better to have a less aggressive approach. Because again, we're all talking about now the Arctic. You can find much of the explanation around Panama Canal in Secretary Rubio's confirmation hearing, and Trump's proposal to purchase Greenland is not new, she says. Harrison pointed out the desire that Trump expressed to purchase Greenland during his first administration, which many in Washington laughed at, creating a stir within the executive branch. Maybe his offering to Canada to be the 51st state is more of a joke than serious, but it's hard to know for sure without the president saying so, she adds. And again, Trump brings it up whenever he's asked. Experts believe that Trump is unlikely to take control of these territories or use military force to acquire them. None of the countries involved are likely to concede their territory, and I'm fairly certain that he will not use military force, says McManus. I think he sees U.S. strategic interest in both Greenland and Panama, but achieving his goals does not truly require taking over their territory. And again, we've talked about that. Kevin O'Leary has pointed that when he says that maybe we just find a way of making the U.S. dollar relevant in Canada. I believe his talk of taking over Canada is likely a joke, although he does not want trade concessions from Canada. Experts also offer their views on whether Trump's plans reflect a genuine expansionist agenda or merely negotiating tactics. For McManus, while Trump is unpredictable, she cannot rule out this part of expansion agenda. However, I think it's more likely a negotiating tactic. He is taking extreme positions to intimidate these countries in the hopes that they will make lesser concessions, she says. Again, you want to do what benefits you the most. You don't want to concede in any negotiation. Again, if you think about it, if you're going to be buying a vehicle or you're going to buy a house, if the seller's coming to you saying that it's $20,000 for a home above your buying price, you don't want to concede and pay that extra $20,000. You want to play hardball and get down to the very bottom penny that you can before purchasing said home. Donald Trump is doing the same thing. He's trying to eliminate income taxes in the United States. That money has to come from somewhere. And while if he were to take over these territories, if he were to use military force, there is a cost for that. But if he were to take over these territories and ultimately gain them, not only does it open up their trade routes, not only does it defeat competition in China, but he inherits all of those minerals. He inherits Canada's oil and gas, their minerals, their agriculture, their manufacturing. He gains things from Panama by opening it up as well. So it's not just for shipping. It's the icing on top of the cake, so to speak. For example, Trump might hope to reduce Chinese influence over ports near Panama Canal and get a better trade deal from Canada. Maybe he wants more access to natural resources in Greenland, she asks. Harrison emphasizes that Trump's recent statements were not campaign promises and that the president does not have a mandate from the American public to pursue an expansionist agenda. Such threats to take sovereign territory signify that President Trump will continue his unorthodox approach to international relations, sidelining international law and possibly domestic law to pursue what he thinks is in the best interest of the United States, she says. She noted if he intends to pursue these policy goals at any cost, the question will be what branch of government is willing to rein him in. And if they fail, the next question will be, what allies and partners would stand up to such aggression? Again, military force, I think, is out of line. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that when you put it into perspective, when you put into what is going on between Canada, the United States, Panama Canal, Greenland, trade routes, the Arctic, it all ties in. It all makes sense. This is one big business deal. Sure, it's about the border. Sure, we want to clean things up. We want to deport anybody coming to our countries to make things worse. We want to get rid of crime. We want to get rid of illegal substances that are killing our family members. All of that is great. But when you come down to brass tacks, when you come down to the numbers and why the motivation is there, this paints a broader picture. Hopefully it paints a broader picture for you, the audience, to understand why this is so critical for Donald Trump, why he's pushing it. And again, why countries like Canada need leaders to come to the table and start discussing real options. Because let's be honest, if we can get a better trading deal with the United States as they're negotiating these deals with Panama, Greenland, and the Arctic, and less influence from China, well, that benefits Canada as well. And that can help Canada moving forward. So again, we need leaders that are not going to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, but rather negotiate. Possibly part of Pierre Poilievre's push to say we're going to go dollar for dollar is showing that he's not adopting this madman theory, that he's not going to back down. It's tough to say. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join our large Fringe majority here on the channel. Click your bell for notifications. Join me live this Wednesday, as well as Friday for Unhinged Fringe on Wednesdays, Friday Night Fringe on Fridays, our live streaming shows where I'll talk about everything going on in politics, a little bit of back and forth with the community. Fridays, I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we discuss political context with you, the viewers, and hear what you guys have to say in both of those live streams outside of making these videos. I look forward to chatting with each and every one of you, and most importantly, looking forward to chatting with you this Wednesday and this Friday, both starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.